The communist spy in the sky, the giant balloon hovering over the U.S. Sean Hannity joins us now, host of Hannity. All right, Sean, first of all, you got to recognize you canceled the two of us last night on your show, so we're like, come on in and see us here on the bottom line.
I deserve everything. Well, we go, first of all, congratulations to both of you. Dag and I go back a long time. I'm so happy for both of you. You're both so talented. But can you believe the size of this balloon, reconnaissance balloon, although it's a weather balloon and prevailing winds just happen to fly it right over our country through Alaska. I'm mad at a lot of things here. I want to know why they didn't tell us earlier. It flew over Alaska, then over Montana, then over other parts of the country. And why haven't we done anything about it? Why is Joe Biden going to Delaware when he should be in the Situation Room with his top military people figuring out, are they going to retrieve it or are they going to blow it out of the sky? You don't leave it there.
But that's the question, right? I think every American sits back and goes, why is Joe Biden letting this balloon, which, by the way, the wind blows from the west to the east, and this thing is going from north to south.
Great point.
Right over our ICBM, missile sites. So why isn't he doing anything?
There is no rational explanation. Now, my mind goes to the fact, when we get to the bottom, and they're investigating this in the House Oversight Committee, Jim Comer leading the way, the Biden family has made a fortune from China. Why would the Chinese not go to Deutsche Bank or go to Goldman Sachs or any of the big financial firms? They went with Hunter Biden, a $1.5 billion deal that it eventually became. That doesn't make sense. The $100,000 shopping spree doesn't make sense. We don't have answers to any of this. We don't know if Joe got any of the money. If you look at the Hunter Biden emails, the laptop from hell, he actually says to his own daughter, Hunter, that, well, Pops takes half of my income, but I won't do that to you. Does that mean Joe got a lot of money as part of this deal? These are questions we need answered, and hopefully sooner than later. I want to know if it's related to Joe's lack of action here, because this is a national security threat, and he's not taking it seriously, and he's going home to Delaware when he ought to be thinking about how to deal with it.
I don't want to take the wheel of the car and drive it away from the Biden family because there's so many problems there. But the bigger, I said this earlier, this balloon is a symbol. It's a symbol for our national weakness and how China owns us. Not just the Biden family, but our corporations have sold us out. And we have just handed over COVID. We don't have answers for why more than 1 million Americans died from COVID, which China unleashed on us, and we still don't know where it came from and why. Fentanyl poisonings. I can go, like, they've been stealing our intellectual property, Sean, and we're just sitting here and we're letting them own us.
Okay, everything you said is true, but add to this, why are we allowing the communist Chinese to buy up American farmland? Would they ever let us buy their farmland? Why are they allowed to buy ranch land? They are buying it, thousands and thousands of acres. Why are we allowing them to buy American land near military installations? Do you think the communist Chinese would ever let us do that? None of that would happen. You used the word, and it was appropriate, weakness. Joe Biden projects weakness. There's no way in hell, I don't care if you like Donald Trump, didn't like Donald Trump, but there's no way in hell they would be doing this if he was president. And the only guy to ever get concessions, ever, that in my lifetime that I can think of with China was Donald Trump. And that was, he put tariffs because of unfair trade practices, intellectual property theft, all these other issues. I'm sorry, they only respect one thing. It's called strength. Vladimir Putin made a calculation that Joe Biden wouldn't do a thing when it comes to Ukraine. And up to this point, the U.S. has stopped even our Western European and NATO allies from providing fighter jets. They don't have a chance. Zelensky, the Ukrainians have no chance without fighter jets. And if they're not going to fight a war to win the war, we're not paying for it anymore. Right. Because it's a waste of our time, and it becomes a long,
I think the frustrating point is I don't believe America's weak. I think we have weak leaders. I think we have weak elites in leadership in our companies.
But that's the president.
But the American economy, the American people are strong. And what frustrates people is if you just go back, 30 years, people were patriots. Our presidents were patriots. Our members of Congress were patriots. Our business leaders were patriots. They love the homeland. And today you see people selling the country out, sell the homeland out for their own profit, and they don't give a damn. They're not patriots any longer.
Debt makes us weak.
I agree with that.
Debt makes us weak.
That's a profound statement.
And China sells 2/3 of its garbage to us and Europe. And if we're dependent on it, that makes us weak.
You know, one of the many things that I love about you is that is so succinct. We have a moment that is approaching, the debt ceiling. You know, somewhere around May, June, July. You guys would know more about that than me. And I had Kevin McCarthy on my show earlier this week, and I said, will you unite as a caucus, all 222 of you, and come up with a plan that deals with fiscal responsibility? We now have $31 trillion in debt, that we stop stealing from our kids and grandkids. And will you unite behind that plan? And will you not blink when the Democrats say they're not going to negotiate? First thing Biden said, I'm not going to negotiate. Then the pressure's going to come. They're going to say the full faith and credit of the United States government is hanging in the balance. Fine. Stop stealing from our kids and grandkids and become fiscally responsible. They did it in 2011, and it was Joe Biden that said, it can't be my way or the highway. He believed in negotiations. At that point, that's when we brought in a word called sequestration, and that was the Deficit Reduction Act.
And I was in Congress for that, and Joe Biden would come over, and he was actually a negotiator. Barack Obama actually had to pull him back. He was cutting too many deals with House Republicans. John Boehner was the speaker at the time, and we got a lot of flack for doing sequestration until it was implemented. And then people were like, oh my gosh, we're cutting spending. That was actually pretty smart. And I think Kevin McCarthy has the trust and faith now of this conference.
I believe
and you didn't see that at the start when the votes were happening. He has it now. And I think, to your point, he's going to stick to his guns.
If they unite, look, I've said to people individually, and I've said it on air, if they stick together, they're going to either win together or lose together. There's not going to be a few winners here and a few losers over here. As a caucus, will they keep their promise? They are supposed to be the party of fiscal responsibility. Live up to your promises.
But they have to negotiate. They have to negotiate together, because you have far-right conservatives and you have moderates from very moderate Democrats.
Yeah, they've got to come together.
They've got to come together, because if they fracture, if they divide, Democrats win.
This is where I lose my mind. Because
this is the only area you lose?
Yeah, no. I lose my mind about everything, but
by the way, I do miss the days with you and Don Imus. You would stand up to him like nobody else, and God rest his soul, we miss him.
But the Republicans, there were too many of them voting alongside Democrats during the last 2 years. Over in the Senate, led by Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham and Mitt Romney, where they voted for $1.2 trillion.
You mean the omnibus?
Spending. No. Before that,
Infrastructure.
Mitch and Lindsey and Mitt voted for infrastructure. They voted for the CHIPS boondoggle. And you want to talk about candidate quality? It was policy quality.
You know what's sad? So the average household was paid, last year, $10,000 on average in Biden's inflation tax. Most people watching this show, maybe because they're watching Fox Business and they're more hip to finances and the economy and know what inflation is and all that sort of thing. But most people don't know that Biden just raised taxes on oil, gas, coal, pensions, and corporations. Number one, corporations, they don't pay taxes. They pass that cost on to you, the consumer. And he's the guy that promised he wouldn't raise taxes on anybody making under $400,000 a year.
So you're saying he's a liar?
Joe Biden's, look in the camera. Yes, your president is a liar, but I don't even think he knows today's Friday, so I don't know what to say.
Sean Hannity, thank you.
By the way, I really mean this. I think the world of both of you. I'm so happy for you both.
Thank you.
You're never going to invite me back, right?
Well, we'll come on your show if you won't cancel us.
Did that really happen?
Oh, yeah.
We were scheduled for
You're
last
the best. You got to come back.
All right.
I'll be back.